Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to crochet these granny stitch hexagon cardigan sweater, whatever you want to call it. And of course, it is with a hood, so we're gonna be working the hood into it as well. So yeah, this is what we're gonna be working on. It's a Christmas sweater, so for those of you who like to do Christmas themed projects, this is one for you. And we have enough time to be able to work on this works up really fast, even though, as you can see, the video is extremely long, but it's going to be able to be worked up really fast. It's just that I have a lot of little details to explain to you guys as we go through this tutorial. Yeah, but this is what we're gonna be working on. You will see that I have the leg warmers here as well that are of the same stitch, the same theme. I will be posting a video for those as well shortly, for those of you who would like to do the leg warmers as well. But yeah, this is what we're gonna be working on. Let's go ahead and grab everything we need and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies. So before we get the project started, I'm gonna share the all the materials that I'm using for it. And as you can see here, I have my three colors, my Christmas colors that I'm gonna be using for this cardigan. And we're gonna start with this red here. This is from Azurite. It's 100% acrylic. It's a lightweight number 3. And the color number is 156, aka red or bright red. This skein here is 50 grams or 140 meters. And recommended hook size is 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, so that is one of the colors. The other one here is from Hobby We Heart Yarn. Again, it's 100% acrylic. It's 50 grams for this skein or 150 meters. And with this color here, it's color number 6. And recommended hook size for this one here is 4 to 5 millimeter crochet hook. Yeah, 4 to 5 or yeah, 4 to 5 millimeter crochet hook. But I will be using the exact same hook for all of these here, just that this is from a different company, so the recommended hook is a little bit different. But otherwise, I will be using the same. This yarn here, just so you know, it's exactly the same texture wise. The way it looks, there's not different at all. So I often combine these different brands here when I work on it, just because of how similar they look. So this is again from Azurite, the same company as this, but this is by Timid's, just I guess a remix of the brand, but nothing different change at all. It's literally the same as this. It's just different label and things like that. So again, this is 100% acrylic, lightweight number 3, just the same as this and this. Color number for this is 0211, aka I call it cream or of gray or of white. 50 grams or 140 meters, 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook recommendation. Okay, so these are the colors that we're using. So like I said, I'll be using the same hook. I'm using a 5 millimeter crochet hook or H8 US. And again, this is because of this granny stitch that we're doing. I normally prefer to have a hook that is a little bit bigger than the yarn recommendation hook size, just because I don't want it to be too rigid. I want it to be very nice and fluffy and loose. So I'm using the 5 millimeter crochet hook. You will need a darning needle just to be able to join if you need to join anything. It may be just an option. Some stitch markers as well. It's always good to have some of them around. You don't need them necessarily, but if you do, please just have some available. Scissors, obviously, to be able to cut your strands when you're changing your colors. And then, of course, a tape measure to determine your sizes, okay? All right, so now that you have everything you need, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so I'm gonna start my project with the red. Again, you can use this kind of I guess color order in the way that you like. I will do mine where I do red, green, white, or off-white, and then I can repeat that in that pattern. But for you, you can do it absolutely however you want. You can do it in one solid color, even just in red or just in green or just in the off-white, but whichever way, you have a way to just kind of do your own orders of the colors. Okay, so like I said, I'm starting with the red, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a magic circle. So again, the way I do my magic circle, I leave the string a little bit longer than if I was just doing a normal slip stitch. So I leave it just a decent amount so that I don't lose my work, and then I wrap it around my thumb like this. I slip it off while I hold the X area here with my thumb and my middle finger. And then I bring in my hook, I put it through, and then I yarn over, I bring it through like this, okay? And I continue to hold the circle here open like this with my thumb and my middle finger. And then I will do a chain of 2. So 1, 2. This chain of 2 for me counts as a double crochet. And then I'm going to go into the big circle here and do two double crochets, okay? So 2 more stitches. So that's 2, 3, and I call it 2 and 3 again because my chain 2 counts as a double crochet here. So now I have 3 double crochets, and then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go into the circle and do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 1. I will do 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 2, and 3, chain 1, and we're going to do this until we have 6 clusters of the double crochets with separated by chain 1 after every 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I will do 2 more, so chain 1 and then do 2 more. So 1, 2, 3, that's my 5th cluster, and then chain 1 and then do my final, and all of this goes into the magic circle. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay, voila. So now I just want to make sure we have 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and then now that I have my 6, I'm going to pull the string that is hanging to close my circle here. So we're closing our magic circle, so we no longer have it, just like that. And what I do is I just leave this like this. We will deal with it at a much later time. We have a lot of time, okay? And then now I am going to make sure I do my chain 1 here to make sure I separate this cluster of 3 and the next this cluster of 3, because otherwise it becomes 6 of them together. And then I have this chain 2, so 1, 2, and on top of that here I'm going to go ahead and do a slip stitch like this. Okay, so now I have a complete circle like that. Okay, so this is row 1 completed. We're going to go ahead and do our second row, and then it's gonna build up wider and wider and wider as we go, obviously. So very simple. I have obviously done many other projects using this particular granny hexagon. So this is not something, and I'm sure you guys have done it already before. So if you're not 100% new to it, you can watch this. But if you guys are new to it, you understand exactly what we're doing next and next and next and next, okay? So the next thing here is I'm going to do a chain of 2. Your chain of 2 always counts as a stitch. It counts as a double crochet, okay? And then in that same gap here, the chain 1 gap, it seems like it's a little bit after this, which it is. We're gonna go into this gap here and complete 2 more double crochets. So 1 and 2, and then the third one is our chain 2 that we started this with here. Okay, so now that you have that, you're going to jump over, you're going to skip these 3 stitches, these 3 double crochets, and in the chain 1 right to your left here, you're going to go into that stitch and complete 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and then you're going to chain 1, and then in that same chain 1 space you're going to do 3 more double crochets. Okay, 2 and 3, and then you're going to jump over to the next chain 1 space. So you're skipping 1, 2, 3, you're skipping 3 stitches. So in the next chain one gap, you're going to hop over to that spot and do 3 double crochets. So 2, 3, chain 1, and then do 3 more double crochets into the same gap. So again, you're starting to increase here, and in this case, you're increasing pretty much after in every of the chain one gap, you're increasing. Okay, so that's done here. Then again, we skip these 3 stitches, and in the next chain one gap, you go ahead and complete the cluster of 6, which is 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 more double crochets into the same space. Okay, so very simple. It's a project that works up really fast. It doesn't seem like it, but you can have this project completed in just a few days. So that's that. And then again, we skip these 3 double crochets, and into the chain 1 gap on the left, we do the same thing where we do 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochets. Okay, and as you can see, we're gonna do this pretty much around until we get to the beginning of the project here. And then again, you do the same thing in this next chain 1 gap. You complete your 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochets. Oops. Two and 3. Okay, so now as you can see, this is how this almost finished row 2 looks like, but we have to obviously finish it by going to the other side and connecting it. So but we have to also make sure we have 6 double crochets in that stitch that only has 3 right now. So okay, so this is where we started. Here we have our chain 2 and then 2 double crochets into this gap here, but of course we have to make sure that it's 6 like this. Okay, so the way to do that is just to hop right into that gap and do 3 double crochets, because we want to make sure it's 6 like all the other ones. Okay, just like that. And because we have a chain 2 in between, a chain 1, we're gonna do a chain 1, and then on top of this double crochet or the chain 2, we're gonna go ahead and do a slip stitch just like that. Okay, so now it's completed. So now our second row looks just like that. Okay, and then we're going to start our third row. We chain 2, and again in this chain 1 gap, we're going to do 2 more double crochets because our chain 2 counts as a stitch. So now we have 3, and then we hop over to this gap here. It's not a chain 1 gap anymore, it's just a gap that we looped over by skipping these 3 double crochets. We hopped over to the other side. There's absolutely no stitch in between there, but we're gonna just go into this gap right here, and in this gap we're gonna do 3 double crochets. Okay, 2 and 3, and then we're going to hop over to the chain 1 gap now right here. So we're skipping these 3 double crochets, 3 stitches, and we hop right over to the chain 1 space, and we're going to do a corner. So this is gonna be 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the same stitch, okay, into the same chain 1 gap, and this creates a corner. So now you're going to make sure you have corners that are going to be very obvious here. Okay, so now that that's done, we go into this gap here by skipping these 3 double crochets. Into this gap, we're gonna go into it and do 3 double crochets. So this is not a corner, therefore you only do 3 double crochets here. And then you're going to skip into the corner, into the chain 1 gap, and complete a corner, which means 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the same space. Okay, and this being a hexagon project, you're going to have 6 corners, so you have to make sure each of your corner gets this cluster of 6 double crochets, but it's 3, chain 1, and then 3. Okay, so you're going to do that all around to the beginning here, and that completes your 3rd row. And then we're going to do a 4th row. The 4th row is going to be my last row in this color. That's how I choose to do the pattern here. But let's not skip ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and just finish these here. When you have completed your final corner here, go into this gap and do your 3 double crochets and then come back. And I will show you how to start the 4th row, and then I will show you how to pretty much change the color to the next one, which in my case will be the green. Okay, so finish this row to here and then come back. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed. Oh, and as you can see, I did not complete because I only did 3 double crochets in this corner here. So let's go ahead and fix that. So chain 1 and then 3 more double crochets in the corner. The good thing with this project is if you just put it down, you will see the a mistake very easily, because you will be able to tell that it doesn't look like it should be looking like that. Okay, so I do that, and then I do 3 more right here, which is in the none corner section. I do only 3 double crochets. Okay, like that. So this is what the 3rd row looks like. It still can lace flat like this if you press it down on the table, but as you will see with this project, the more rows that we do, the more it cannot lace flat like this, because it increases kind of like octopus legs, like they go all over the place, and then it doesn't really look like you can place it flat down. Anyways, so again, now that we have reached this other corner here where we started, we're going to go into that space where we did our 3 last double crochets, and we're going to do 3 just like this, and then chain 1, and then slip stitch on top of this chain 2. So our chain 2 will slip stitch on top of it like that. Okay, so now this completes the full circle, the full 3rd row. And then for the 4th row, we're going to do a chain of 2, and then make sure we gap out this area here to do 2 more double crochets to make it 3 with the chain 2, just like that. And then we're gonna move into this gap here and do 3 double crochets. And as you will see, the first the row that we just finished, we only had 1 space that we work the none corner into, and then in the 4th we're gonna have 2 spaces, so this one and the next one right here. And then in the 5th row you're going to have 3, and then in the 6th row 4, and then as you go like that, you're gonna have more and more of these spaces in between that are none increase or none corner. Okay, so now that we have reached the corner, we're gonna hop right into the chain 1 of the corner and do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the same chain 1 space. Okay, and then I will have you guys work the remaining of the row, and then when you complete this row, come back, because what we will do is we will change color and do the green color. Okay, so here in this space and this space you don't increase, so you only do 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets in these 2 gaps, and then you go into the corner and increase by doing 3 chain 1, 3 double crochets, and then in the next 2 you don't increase, and then you increase in the corner, and do that all the way until you have done your last cluster of 3 double crochets here. I will show you how to finish connecting this here, and then how we can change color. Okay, so I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the 4th row here, and as you can see, it's starting to not be able to sit very flat on the table, but that's pretty much the nature of this project. So now that we have completed our cluster of 3 double crochets here, we're going to work our next 3 double crochets into the chain 1 gap that has 3 already, so that we can complete this corner here. So 3, and then we're going to chain 1 and then go on top of that chain 2, And this is where I will change the color here. Okay, so I'm gonna be working this pattern so that it's 4 rows of each color until we get to the last one, and I will explain to you I will explain that to you later. So I'm gonna pretty much change the color here, so I'll show you how to do that. So I go into the top of the chain 2, I bring my red yarn back like this, I put it down, I bring my scissors in, I cut my red somewhere here. Okay, put this away, and then I bring in my green color. So bring in whatever other color that you want to change yours to. It doesn't have to be the green. Maybe you're doing this for a completely different theme. Maybe it's not the Christmas theme. So whatever theme that you do this with, you can change the color at however many rows that you want. But I'm changing mine after 4 rows, and I'm choosing to do this green next, and then the off-white will be the third one. So as you can see, I have 2 loops from doing my almost slip stitching, but without finishing the slip stitch. I stop there, and then this is how I'm gonna bring in the green. I just hold it like this, and then I just loop it through like this. Okay, so and then I just pull the 2 colors, kind of wiggle them in like this to kind of close them up, and then I do my chain 2. So again, this chain 2 counts as a double crochet. I move the 2 strings to my right hand side and hold them like this while I work my next 2 double crochets into that chain 1 gap. So 2, 1 and 2, and so 3 with the chain 2 that I just did. I'm gonna leave these like this for 2 seconds, and then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to this gap here and complete my next 3 double crochets. So again, it's not a corner, so I don't have to do 3 chain 1, 3. I just do 3. I hop over to the next gap, so I skip 3 stitches, and in the next gap I do 3 double crochets like that, and then I hop over to the next gap and do 3 double crochets. So always skipping 3 stitches, and right immediately to the left of those 3 stitches is a gap that you do your cluster into. So like that, and then now I am in the corner. So I'm gonna hop right into the chain 1 gap and do 3 double crochets. So 2, 3, chain 1, and then 3 double crochets again into the same gap. So this is continuing to just create my corner here, something like that. And then for the next 3 gaps here, I just do regular double crochet, so 3 double crochets per gap. And again, you hear me saying gap because there's no stitch there, so we're just going into like an open gap that is created by us skipping 3 stitches into the next, so it by default creates that gap there. Then we just go into that and we do 3 double crochets, and then skip 3 stitches. In the next gap we do our 3 double crochets. Okay, something like that, and then we will go into the corner. But what I do for these 2 strings where we change the colors here is I just do I do 2 nods. So I nod the first time like this, make sure it's very secure, but don't pull it too much because you don't want your chain 2 to kind of crunch in and look like a single crochet. You want it to still be a double crochet stitch there. So I do that twice here, and then I just leave it like that. I don't do anything else. I just leave those strings hanging here. We weave it at a different time. We weave them in at a different time. And then I go back and continue my work. And this is where you will pretty much repeat the same thing for 4 rows. So you will do this green for 4 rows before you change into the white. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and complete this row here. So I'm gonna do my corner here, do my clusters, do a corner, and when you have gone all the way to here where you will do your cluster of 3 double crochets here, come back to the video. I will show you for this one row to just do how to connect and then to start the next row, and then I will have you guys do the 4 rows or the next remaining 3 rows by yourself, and then we'll meet back up when we're changing it to the off-white. But for now, just let's meet when you have completed your 3 double crochets right here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my first row here for the green, which is also my 5th row of the project. And as you can see, I have completed my 3 double crochets here. So the next thing I'm going to do is go into the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and complete 3 double crochets in the corner here. And since I have 3 from the beginning of the row, I don't have to do 6 because I already have 3. So chain 1, and then again slip stitch on top of this chain 2 that we started this row with, just like that. Okay, so now again this completes it, and as you can see, we can no longer lay our project flat down, but it's gonna get bigger and bigger. And so we're gonna do 4 rows of this green. So I have 1 here, I'm gonna do 3 more, and that's gonna make it 4. And then I'm gonna change the color to the white. So we just changed the color exactly the same way that we did here when we changed to the green. And we're gonna do 4 more of those rows, and then we're just going to work it until we have the size that we are looking for. So I'm gonna quickly just show you the one that I have completed so you can see how that looks like before you continue to work on your project to the end. Okay, so as you can see, this is one that I have already completed offline, which is technically my first one that is finished, or at least I have done to the size that I want. And so as you can see, I have my 4 rows here of the red. I did 4 of the white, of the green, 4 in the off-white, and then 4 in the red again. So I alternated it like that. So altogether, I have 8, 16, 17, 18. I have 18 rows so far. But what I have also done is I have stopped before finishing 2 corners. So as you can see, I have only 1 row in the green here, and I have 2 rows of the green here. And as you can see, I have these 2 rows here, this row and this row, that not rows, sorry, corners, this corner here and this side here that is not completed fully in the not fully completed for the color green. Okay, and there's a reason for that. We're gonna need to end up joining our work. So at this point here, you need to make sure you work the number of rows that you do need. The other thing that you will need to know to determine when to stop. So like I said, I have 17 rows here and 18 rows on this side here where I have 2 rows in the green. Which mean altogether I have 18 rows for my project. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna fold your work like this. Okay, because you wanna be able to fold it the way it's gonna go on your body. You want to fold your work like this. When you have folded your work like this, you're going to measure, or I guess the first thing that you would do is measure your arm. So how wide is the widest part of your arm? So let's say I'm going to use this color here. So let's say this is your arm here. You're going to put your tape measure around it like this. Okay, and as you can see here, this is 10 inches, about 9.5 inches, like this. Not that this is your arm, because your arm will be a lot bigger than this. So let's say this is it here. Let's say you want to make it looser, because this obviously means it's very tight. If you want to make it looser, you can always kind of go to like 11 or 12 and then go, yeah, this is how comfortable I want my sweater to be, like this. Okay, the sleeve of my sweater, this is how comfortable I want it to be. So then with 12 inches of what you're looking to have, you're going to measure this section here. So for example, right now here for me, it's about 8 inches. And these 8 inches times 2, it's 16. So which means this whole area here is like this. So this whole area here is like this section here. Okay, so my 16 inches is this section here. So that is how you will determine how much to continue working, because the more rows you do, the wider this section here becomes. So that is what we're gonna do. So for me, I have measured mine here, and like I just showed you, I have 8 inches, which means 16 altogether is this area here of my arm. So I stopped at 18 inches because this is a comfort that I want. Okay, so that is how you would measure to decide how much of these rows to do. Some people may do less, like if you have a very small arm or it's for a child, you may end up doing enough rows just to give you something like that. Okay, all right, so go ahead and work until you have the size that you want. So depending on how you order the colors here, order it the way you want, but make sure you have the amount of rows that you want. When you have that, for your final row, let's say you need to do 14 rows. You're gonna do 13 rows that are, let's say, so you will do 13 rows that are complete, but then for 2 of the corners, you're only gonna do 13 rows. So 14 rows for the full, for 6 corners, sorry, I will repeat that again. So you will do 14 rows for 4 corners, but only 13 rows for 2 corners for your final one. And then come back to the video because we will then join that together, okay? So I will see you guys when you have that completed. Okay, my lovelies. So I'm gonna show you then how to join your work. So just like I explained in the previous clip, you will do only 2 rows in 4 corners. So this is where our project started here. The row started here in the green. So this is my second row. I started here and I finished this corner with 2. I finished this corner here. I finished this corner here and I finished this corner here. So I have 4 corners that have 2 rows. And then I have this corner here that has only 1 row in the green. And then this corner here that has only 1 row in the green, okay? So the reason for that is we're gonna pretty much work it. It's gonna end up being 4 rows eventually, but for now we're going to be joining to make sure that it is 4 rows. So now that you have your work like this, as you can see, it's facing up because this is the back side here. So this is the right side. And you're going to make sure, so take this corner here where you stopped your project. First of all, flip your work inside out like this. Like just put the back side is, and you will know that it is because of where you have changed your colors. And if you did not change the color at all, you will see that it's pretty much the side that looks like it's the opposite side of the work. Okay, now that you have flipped it like this, it's laying down like this, you're going to take this corner here and you're going to count 1. So this side on the left, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in the 4th corner on the other side, you're going to kind of put it like this. And then you're going to flip it like this, okay? So when you flip it like this, you will see that this side, you have 1 row of the green, but the opposite side of it, you have 2. And then on this side here, you only have 1 row in the green. So your 1 row in the green will be on here on the side facing up, and then on the side that is going to be for your arm. Okay. So now that you have folded your work like that, you're going to now work to close this top here. But we're going to now go from having these 2 rows of green and this 1 row of green, which makes it 3. If we join it, you're going to go and join it with a 4th row so that you have 4 of these all together here at the end. This is why I said we will end up having 4 rows here on top of it as well. But for now, you only have 3 rows. Okay, so I'm just prepping my yarn here, and I hope you guys understand. I have done a few of these hexagon granny stitch cardigans that are on the channel. The one that is in the blue color is where I went into more details in explaining. So if this is not sufficient with this one here, you can always hop over to that video, watch it, and maybe you will get the explanation is a little bit different. Okay, so now as you can see here, the last corner that I did, I only did 3 double crochets. I didn't complete the corner. This is our corner. I did not complete it. I just left it with 3 double crochets, and there's a reason for that. We're gonna hold our work like this. This is the other corner here, the opposite side. You're gonna hold your work like this. You're gonna take your hook and go around like this. So poke it from the opposite side. Okay, you see that? And then bring your loop around like this. You see that? And then you're going to do a slip stitch there like that. Okay, did you see that? So I'm going to do it one more time so you can see what I'm doing exactly. Let's undo that. Okay, so you grab your corner, you have your chain one, which is on the opposite work here. You're gonna go and bring your loop around like this. Bring your hook, your yarn around, bring it through like this, and then slip stitch. Okay, now that you have slip stitched here, you're going to complete your corner. And the way you complete your corner is you just go over and yarn over, go right into that chain one spot and do a double crochet. And then go right back into that and complete your second double crochet. And then your third double crochet, just like that. Okay. So now you have this cluster of 3 here lining up with this. And then these 3 you just completed line up with the other side of that corner like this. Okay. Now that you've completed this, you're going to move over. And now we have this gap here, which is just the gap that separates our clusters. You're going to do the same. Go from underneath like this. Bring your loop around or your yarn around, slip stitch. And then come directly into the next gap here and complete your 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And make sure you're working loose enough. Don't make it too tight because you don't want, this is going to be the top of your shoulder. You don't want it to be like all crunchy and it makes it very obvious that there's a line there. You want to make sure that it's loose and nice, okay? And now that you have done that, you're going to look over on the other side and you're like, oh, the next one is this gap here. You're going to put your yarn through just that gap. Okay, bring your yarn through like this, slip stitch. Okay. And then when you've done slip stitching, the next gap you need to work into is this gap here. So you're going to yarn over, go right into that gap and complete your 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then you look and you go, okay, the next gap I need to work into is this gap right here. So then you just go around, put your hook through, bring your yarn, slip stitch. And then the next gap to work your cluster is this one here. So just go right into that and complete your 3 double crochets. Okay. And then again, you flip it and you go, okay, the next one is here. I'm going to go through into that, bring my yarn through, slip stitch. And then you work your cluster of 3 double crochets right here. Okay, so you're going to repeat this all the way to the side, the end of this row here, which is going to be down here, okay? And because you have your stitches here lining up properly, you will have exactly the same. They will line up in a way that every one is lined up like this. So you don't have to worry about running out or like some of the spaces don't have a place for you to work into. If you do go back, you will see that you probably skipped or did something somewhere. But at the end, as you can see, we do have our 4 rows of the green here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you end up with the 4 anyways, which is why we did it the way we did it, okay? All right, so go ahead and work these all the way here. So you're joining as well as adding a row all the way to here. When you complete your final cluster of double crochets here, come back to the video and I will show you how to finish that off and then how to start working on the arm. So how to increase our arm, okay? So I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed working the joining of our top here, the sweater, the top of the sweater. And as you can see, I have pretty much reached here. So I have completed my cluster of double crochets here. So I need to connect to the other side. So I will do the same thing as we did. So I look here and I'm like, okay, this is the next gap I need to go into. So I go into that, I bring my loop around, I slip stitch. And then the next gap I'm gonna work into is doing my 3 double crochets into the corner here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 1, 2, and 3. Okay, but there's still this gap here that we need to connect, so these have to go like this, just like the rest of them. So what we do is then I just kind of hold it like this, and I go on top of this chain 2 here that we started that row with. So I go just on top here. So I take my hook, I go like this, go through both loops, I bring my yarn around and I bring it through, and I slip stitch like this. Okay, so now I have completed that section here. I'm just gonna pull the yarn a little bit here so I can kind of stretch my work a little bit here. So as you can see, you can tell that this is where we joined the sweater here. So what I often do is just kind of do this a little bit like this to kind of loosen the stitches so that they're not kind of like folding up like this. Okay, so just something like that. So this is how this top is going to be, like the top of the sweater. But when you put it down, this is how it is. And this is one of your sleeves right here. Okay, and of course the sleeve is not long enough, so we're going to now work on the sleeve section of the sweater. So we're gonna continue to work this color here, because as you can see, we only have 1 row in the green, and we need to have 3 more to make it 4, because our pattern works in the rows of 4s per color. Okay, so then the way I do that is because I ended up with this color here. It makes it easy so I don't have to change the color and then start another one. I just continue it from there. So very easy, and it's gonna be very easy to do this part of it. So I bring my hook through here. Oopsie. Okay, so as you can see, this is how it looks like. Okay, I'm gonna do my chain of 2 here, and keep in mind again, our chain of 2 counts as a double crochet. And then there's this gap here that I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 more double crochets into. So 1 and 2. So right away I start with my cluster of double crochets here. And then I'm going to jump over to this corner here of the previous row of green. And I already have these here, so I just go into that and work 3 double crochets right here. Okay. And then I hop right into this gap. So now we're skipping 3 double crochets, and in this gap here I do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I skip my 3 double crochets. In the next gap I do 3 double crochets. So this part of it becomes very easy. There's no more corners in the sleeves. So we're just working around the circumference of the arm here. So again, I skip these 3 double crochets, and in the gap, I do my 3 double crochets. Okay. And as you can see, I do nothing but repeat that all around until we get back to the beginning where we just started right here. Okay. And then we will obviously do the next row. So for now, just go ahead and complete. Skip 3 double crochets, do 3 double crochets, skip these 3 double crochets, do a double crochet, 3 double crochets all around. And when you have completed your 3 double crochets in this section right here, which is the corner of the other side, come back to the video. I will show you how to connect this side here and how to start the next row. And I will have you guys do that for 4 rows after. But for now, let's just meet when you get to right here. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my row here in the green, as you can see. So now we're back to where we started off here. So all you will need to do here is you just go ahead and slip stitch on this, on top of this chain 2 that we started this row with, just like that. Okay, so this completes this row, and then you're going to start your second row, or your next row, which would be 3rd. So you do a chain of 2. And then in that same gap, you do 2 more double crochets to create your cluster of double crochets there. And then you hop over to this gap here and do your 3 double crochets. Okay, so you don't turn or do anything like that. You just work in a circle like this, okay? and then you go right into the next and complete your 3 clusters of double crochets like that, and then into the next. Okay, so from here on you don't do much beside just completing your clusters of double crochets around, and then when you get to here you will do your final clusters of double crochet here, and then slip stitch on this top of this chain 2, chain 2, and then do 2 more double crochets into that same gap, and then just work your stitches like that. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this 3rd row of the clusters here, and then I'm going to go ahead and do one more to make it 4, because we're working in rows of 4 per color. And then I'm gonna come back to show you, because we're gonna end up switching to the white and doing 4 rows of that, and then switching to the red, and then the green, and then the white, the red, the green, and we're gonna do that until you have the length of your arm. But for now, let's meet back after you have completed your 4 rows in the green, so I can show you how to change the color, and then I will explain how you end up working until you have the length that you need. Okay, I will see you guys at the end of 4 rows in the green. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my 4 rows here in the green, and as you can see, that is pretty much how it looks like. We're gonna go ahead and change the color to the white, because that's our next color in the order that we have created. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna bring my scissors, but I will do this first so I don't cut too short. So I'm gonna just go on top of that chain 2, bring it through like this, leave it here like this, bring in my scissors, cut the yarn, put the green color away, and our scissors, and then now I'm going to bring in the white. Okay, so that's our next color. I'm gonna bring in the white, and we're gonna go ahead and change it right into that, and we're gonna start working 4 rows of the white, and then we're gonna continue from there. Okay, so again, I have my green, so I have not completed my slip stitch here. I'm gonna bring the green in, or the white, sorry, the off-white. We're gonna bring it right through like this, and then just do a chain of 2, and then I'm gonna pull this so that I can bring it in closer, and I'm gonna hold it on this side of my right hand side while I work 2 more double crochets into this gap here. Okay, so 2 and 3, so our chain 2 here counts as a double crochet. And what you can do at this point is you can knot this if you want. What I do normally is I work a few rows, and then I knot it. Not that there's any specific reason I do that, but knot it like that so that it's kind of closed, and then you just move on to the next gap here and do your 3 double crochets. Okay, and then to the next gap you go ahead and do your 3 double crochets, and then you do these all around. When you get back here, you will do your 3 cluster of double crochets here. You will slip stitch on top of this chain 2, chain 2, do 2 more to make it 3, and then just move like that. There's one thing that I would like to explain to you guys here so that you're not alarmed and you think something is wrong with your work. As you can see, this is where we started with working our 2nd row of the green. We started right here, and then in the next following row, in the 3rd row, we ended up starting here, and then in the 4th row we set it up here, and this is why the white starts here. So the white is not starting here, it starts here. It's just the nature of this work that because you slip stitch in from the previous, that the next time you start your new row, it's actually 1 block to the right, and then the next one is going to be 1 block to the right, and it's going to keep moving like this. So don't be alarmed when you see that. It's simply because when we do our chain 2 here, we go into that same stitch to do our next cluster. So next time when we do our 2nd row of the white, we're going to do 3 clusters of double crochets here, and then we're going to slip stitch on top of this double crochet, which means the next cluster, the next row of double crochets in the white starts here, and then the 3rd row will start here, the 4th row will start here. So by the time we finish our 4th row, we're gonna be up to here. So it moves from this line all the way towards the right, And then we're gonna continue to do that pretty much as we work our next color on our next color and our next color. But don't be alarmed, it doesn't make a difference at all. As you can see from the green color, you cannot tell where we started and where we ended, you know, so that's not a big deal over there. But don't be alarmed if you see that that's the case. So I'm going to talk to you about how you will determine how many rows to do. So what I do is I measure my arm from my wrist, from here. I measure all the way going underneath to my armpit, to where my armpit starts, or where my arm starts under my armpit. Okay, and then what I will do, so for me, for example, it's about 18 inches, 18, 19 inches. So this is the length of my arm right here from underneath my armpit. So what I will do is we will do the calf here. That is going to be a little bit of a different stitch. And it's going to also kind of bring these in because this is too wide. We're going to kind of bring it in so that it's a little bit tight on here. And I often want to leave about, let's say 2.5 to 3 inches to be able to do that. So it would be something like this, like that amount. So which means then if I remove 8 inches, let's say 19, let's balance it up at 19. So let's say I remove 3 stitches. So I remove 1, 2, 3. So it means I do 16 stitches, 16 inches worth of stitches here from underneath my armpit all the way to before I start my calf. Okay. So that's how you're going to determine how long to do this for. For me particularly, I'm going to do 4 rows of the white. And then I'm gonna go do 4 rows in the red, and then 4 rows in the green, and then 4 rows in the white, and I'm gonna end up doing my calf in this color here. Okay, so you guys do that however you want to do it, but I'm gonna end up finishing my calf with this red color. So which means the last color that I will come back completed is the white, but a couple of rows this way. Okay, so go ahead and do that and then come back to the video when you're ready to do the calf section of your sweater. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my rows here for the sleeve. And as you can see, we pretty much left off here where I did these rows with you guys here, and then I did this remaining of the rows here. So now I have the length that I want, with the exception of the calf, about 2.5 to 3 inches of the calf area here, which we will work on now. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that started with you guys. But just quickly, just so you guys are actually aware, just something that I talked about before. So this is obviously the top part of our sleeve here. This is where we started with doing the green. And as you can see, instead of this ending being right here, it has literally rotated all the way around, and we're back here. So now this is like kind of literally almost exactly underneath is where my work ends, as opposed to be on top here. So just to show you that the more you work the rows, the more it literally goes around, and it doesn't keep staying in the same spot where where we join the work is. Anyways, not that that is very important, just so you don't get freaked out that something is not maybe working properly because it's moving around like that. Anyways, so I have completed my 4 rows here of the cream or the off-white. So now I'm gonna change color. So I'm gonna go in here and just bring it in like that, like we've been doing. I'm gonna cut my yarn somewhere there, and then I'm gonna put this white off-white away, and I'm gonna bring in my red, and this is gonna be, the red is gonna be me finishing it off completely. So at this, it's gonna be the rest of the calf here, or the rest of the this area is gonna be all in the red. But we're gonna do a few rows that are not exactly the same, and then we're gonna finish it off with the with reducing. Okay, so as you can see, I'm gonna change my color here again, just like we do. Change it like this, and then I'm gonna change just one here. I'm gonna pull and pull, and actually I'm just gonna knot it now so that I can have that finished. Knot and knot. Okay, And so I did just like a quick slip stitch here. So and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a complete row of single crochets. Okay, so right from this stitch here, because your chain one there doesn't count as a stitch, I'm just gonna go in the very first one here and do a single crochet, and I'm gonna do single crochets around, and it's gonna be on every stitch until I come back around. So I'm just doing the single crochets around like this. Okay, so nothing too complicated, nothing too difficult to do. You just do single crochets around like this. Okay, so do that all the way here. When you arrive to the final stitch here, come back to the video and I will show you what to do for the next row. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see, I just did a single crochet row around the sleeve here, and I'm at the end, so I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch in that chain one spot that we created with at the beginning of the work. And as you can see, it looks like that. So we're gonna do a little bit of reducing here, and that is just so we can kind of bring it a little bit in like this before we work in our stitches. So I'm gonna do a chain one, and I'm going to go into this stitch here and in this stitch here and reduce. So I'm gonna go just right in like this, and then into the next, and then I'm going to bring it in and go through all 3 loops, then go into the next stitch and then into the next, and then go through and reduce by bringing it through all the stitches. And this is just single crochet. It's like reducing but with single crochet. Okay, so here and here, and then bring it through 3 loops, and then this stitch and this stitch go together, put it through both loops, and then this stitch and this stitch together, go through all 3 loops. And you're gonna do this around all the way until you come back to this beginning here. When you get to here, come back to the video, and then I will show you how to reduce how to start the next part of the project. And when you're reducing, make sure you're keeping your stitches very, very tight here. So as you can see, we don't want these gaps here to be too big, so you have to make sure you are keeping it very tight. Okay, if you need to use a smaller hook, go ahead and use that, do that, but the point is you don't want them to become too loose for these sections here, for these stitches here, because it will kind of expand that stitch like this because we're putting 2 stitches together. Okay, so make sure it's as tight as you can do it, and then when it's done, come back. So when you get back to here, come back to the video so I can show you what to do in the next part of the project. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my row of decreasing here, so decreasing with single crochet. So as you can see, it's already starting to kind of go inwards a little bit, but it's gonna do even more when we work our next part of the project. So I just did my last decrease here, so I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch on top of the first chain that we did here. It's gonna be a little bit tough to get into it, but we're just gonna wiggle our way through to get into that because we do need to slip stitch here if we can get in there. And what I often do in these cases is if there is any smaller hook kind of laying around, I grab the small hook and I use it to do this part because it can be very difficult. So I just do the slip stitch with that hook here, then remove it, put it away. Okay, so for this next part of the project, we're gonna do a row of double crochets. So I'd start by doing a chain of 2, and then I do a double crochet in the next stitch, which is right here, and this chain 2 counts as a double crochet. Then I'll go into the next stitch and do a double crochet and into the next stitch. And then what you're doing here is just doing double crochet stitches all across or all around the circle here for your sleeve. Okay, and make sure when you do this, these sections here kind of have like they're wide, so it may look like it's very gappy, but it's okay. It's just because the stitches are kind of like pushed out, so it makes them a little bit more gappier than they should be. They're not like very close to each other, but that's absolutely fine. So don't stress too much over why they are gappy like this. Okay, So go ahead, do your double crochets around. When you get back to where we started here, come back to the video and I will show you the next part of the project. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my row of double crochets around. So as you can see, this is my last one here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and slip stitch on top of the chain 2 here to be able to close in the row. Okay, so just like this, like that. Okay, and so we're gonna start another part of the project here. We're gonna do a chain of 2. This chain of 2 counts as a double crochet and it lines up with this stitch right here. And so we're going to do a front post double crochet on this stitch here. So we're just gonna yarn over, go around like this, bring it back, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through the next 2 loops. And then in this stitch right here, we're gonna do a back loop, a back post double crochet like that. And then in this one, we're going to do a front post double crochet. And then in the next, a back post double crochet. Okay. And for those of you who are crocheters, you understand exactly what we're doing here. So we're going to alternate between the front post double crochet, back post double crochet for the rest of the remaining here part of the sleeve. Okay. So we're doing these all the way around until we go back to where we started right here. And then when you get there, come back to the video. I will show you how to start the next row of the front post, back post double crochets. And then I will have you complete the number of rows you need for yours. Like I said, for mine, I'm looking to do 2.5 to 3 inches. So that's gonna be how much I measure to. When it gets to that, about that amount, I will come back to the video at that point. But for now, just go all the way to here, which is where I'm kind of approaching right now, so I can show you how to start the next row, and that's gonna be your repeat row for this part of the project. Okay, so instead of going off and coming back to show you guys this, I'm almost here, so I'm just gonna finish off here and then I will show you guys how to start the next row. So very, very simple. And as you can see, your calves start to go inwards as well as we're doing this, and it's gonna be nice and tight on your hand, on your the end of your hand here on your wrist, so that it's nice and it fits nice and it looks nice and all that kind of stuff. The other option that you guys have is to not do this at all and just leave your sleeve to stay flared out, which in that case you would have just done one more row of this granny stitch here for the red and then you're done. Okay, so that is an option that you guys have as well, but since we are doing this particular one, I am completing it with the calves here coming in, or with the wrist here coming in and kind of closing in. Makes it nice and neat. Okay, so I am almost at the end here. So one more, this is gonna be a back post, and then I will slip stitch on top of this chain 2 to finish these off like that. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 2 and then just follow the pattern that I have here, which the next stitch I have is this here, which is a front post. So I'm just going to do a front post on it like this because it protrudes towards me. The next one is this one here. It's on the other side of the stitches, so I just go and do a back post double crochet, and then for this one I'm going to complete a front post double crochet. Okay, and then a back post, and then I just alternate that all the way until I come back here. My last will be a back post on this stitch right here, and then I'll slip stitch on top of this chain 2, repeat that again, and I will do this until I have the amount of rows that will be equivalent to 3 inches. So as you can see right now already, if I go from here to here, or let's do here where I've just started these rows. If I go from here to here, I already have 1 inch and almost half. almost an inch and a half completed here, which means I just have that much more to go. So I'll probably end up doing about 5 to 6 rows of the front post, back post double crochets before I hit the number of inches that I want. And when I do that, I will come back to the video to show you guys how it looks like, and then we'll move on to the next part of the project together. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the alternations of back post, front post double crochets here, and I stopped here because I think I have enough of it, so I'm just gonna measure it really quick. So if I measure this here, yeah, it's just a tiny bit under 3 inches. It's like this is 3 inches right here, and it's just right here, so it's not that big of a difference. So I'm not gonna do another row. And here I ended up doing 7 rows altogether, and this is including the first row of double crochets, and then I did 6 rows of the front post, back post double crochets. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna stop here. I think it's good. I measured my length here from the armpit all the way here. It is the size of my arm, so I'm not going to do any more because it's gonna end up making it, it's gonna end up being too long. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here and just slip stitch on top of this chain 2 like this, just like we have been doing, and then I'm going to cut the yarn off, and then I'm going to do another slip stitch here, close it, pull it, and then just like that, and I will weave these in at a different time. Okay, so this is pretty much one of these side completed. Now we're gonna need to work on a second one exactly the same, so you will need to go and do the exact same thing for the second one, and then when you have both completed, where you will have literally 2 identical pieces like this, you're gonna come back to the video so I can show you what to do next. Okay, so I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my second one here as well. So this is it here, exactly the same as the first one that we completed here. Okay, so we have identical pieces now. Okay, so the other thing that I did with the second one was that if you flip it like this, so as you can see with the last one that we did, we have just 2 rows of the green here all around like this. So what I did with the second one was that I increased by 2 more rows of the green here, and then I did 2 rows of the white for the back, and this is to create this gap in the middle, so that when I put my work together like this, because if I put my work together, it's exactly like this, and this is not good because it leaves no space to do anything in the middle here. So we need to create this gap in the back, in the middle, in the back, so that the front has this gap here like this, and then we can do like a ribbing here or whatever the case that we want to do with here. Okay, and because I didn't do this part on camera, I will explain it. So I pretty much connected my green color right here. So in this very corner, I just did I slip stitch into the center here of the corner in the bottom, and then I did chain 2, and then I did 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets in that same stitch to make it 3, and then I went over to the next gap and did 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets all the way to here, and then on here I did 3 double crochets in the corner, and then I chained 2, and then skipped over to this gap, did 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, and then I did that all the way to the end. And at the end here, I did a chain, I did a double crochet in the last here, and then I connected my white, and I did the same thing where I ended up doing 2 rows in the white. So by what I did here, these automatically became the left side of my sweater, because right now on the ground, on the table, it's on the right hand side, but when I put it on, it's gonna be like this. So it's gonna be part of my left, it's the left side of my sweater. Okay, so with that said, we're going to now do the exact same thing on this side here, but on this side, because it's going to end up being the right side of our sweater, so it means we have to work on this section here. which is going to be the back part of the project. Okay, so to do that, I am going to connect my green somewhere here. I will either connect the green here or on top. Either way, I'm gonna connect the green, and I'm gonna work the green once like this to make it 3, and then once to make it 4. And then I will do 1 row of the white, and then we will use the second row to connect the back, the 2 sides of the back together. Okay, so just by looking at this, I will probably start by working my green here, and then going down and then working the green back here, so that I will end up with the white back on this side here. So with that said, then I'm gonna pivot my work like this. So I'm gonna put these away. I'm gonna pivot my work like this, and I'm going to bring the white in, oh sorry, the green in. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the green in, and I'm gonna connect my green right here, and then I'm gonna start to work it down to the bottom and then back up, and then do the white the same way. Okay, I'm just gonna set these up here, and then I will show you exactly what I am doing. Or the other way that we can do as well is to start it in the bottom here and go up. But in this case here, yeah, we could do that as well. So I can start it like this and work the white, right, the green from this corner here. It will be easier than to start it on top. So I'm gonna do a slip knot, just like this. And then I'm gonna go into the bottom here. And as you can see, I'm working from the wrong side, like this, as opposed to the right side, because if I work on the right side, then I have to do it from here, which you can do as well. But for me right now, I'm gonna start by working it from the bottom here, and I'm gonna put my hook in this corner here, and then bring my work that I slip stitched through, and then chain 2, which counts as a double crochet. And then I am going to work, let me see, I will work 2 double crochets into that same stitch to make it 3 with the chain 1 or the chain 2. Then I'm gonna hop over to the next gap and do 3 double crochets, and then to the next gap where I will do 3 double crochets. Okay, and then I'm gonna do these all the way up to the top. So do that until you get to here, this part here, so I can show you how to finish it off by working into that gap right here. Okay, so do that, and I will meet you guys when you get to the top. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my 3rd row of the double crochets granny stitch in the green here. So as you can see, I just stopped here, but we have another cluster to do on top here. So this is the corner that we did this stitch here on. So we're gonna do 3 double crochets in that corner as well. Okay, so 2 and 3. Okay, so that completes this part here. And then we're going to do 1 more row in the green going downward. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, and turn. Okay, and so I turn my work like this, and then after my chain 2, I skip right straight into this gap here and complete my 3 double crochets into this gap. Oops, like that. And then I'm going to go straight to the next gap here and do my next set of 3 double crochets on my cluster. And then I am going to go straight into the next, and then again you kind of get the gist of what's going on. You just do your clusters of 3 double crochets in every gap all the way until you get to the bottom. So please do that. I will do so until I get to here. So my 3 double crochet clusters will go here, then come back. I will show you how to finish it off here, and then how to start the white color to go down. Okay, so I will see you guys when you've completed your 3 double crochets right here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the 4th row here of the in the green, and as you can see, I just completed my 3 clusters of double crochets here. So what I will do is I will just go on top of the chain 2 here to complete a final double crochet, just to line up this place here like this. Okay, so that is the 4 rows in the green completed. And as you can see with the other one, we're gonna do 4 rows in the white as well. But I have 2 on this side, which means I will do 1 on this side here, and then the 4th one will be the one where we join the 2 parts of the back together. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna cut the yarn, because we're gonna need to change it to the green. So I'm just gonna cut it somewhere here, put that away. And then, so I have 2 choices here, so I'm not gonna slip stitch that in yet. So I have 2 choices. I can either connect the white on top here, and then work my white down, or I can connect the white up down here and go upwards to that direction. So it is completely up to me how I'm going to do that. But the main important thing is that when you have these 2 sides together like this, you're going to obviously need to put them together to join the back. So I think in this case, it would be good for me to join the white here to go up, so that when I flip this like this to join the 2 sides, because I'm right-handed, I will do my last row of the white going back down that way. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna put these away, and I'm gonna come here and do the last 2 loops of the double crochet, because I need to join my white. Okay, so I come back in with my white here, or my off-white, and then I will join and then do 1 row of it going up towards the neckline, and then I will work the white by joining the 2 sides coming back down to make it the 4 rows that we need. Okay, so as you can see, I am here again. I'm gonna bring my color in. Oops, I'm gonna bring these in here like this. I'm gonna chain 2, but I'm also gonna pull the green and the white just to lock this area in here like this. Okay, I'm gonna flip it like this, and then I have it like this, and I'm gonna work my 2 more double crochets into this gap here, because my chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So that makes it the 3 clusters here. Then I'm gonna move on to the next space and do my 3 double crochets here. Then I'm gonna move on to the next space, do my 3 double crochets, and then I just do these all the way up to the neckline. And then when I get there, I'm gonna come back to the video so I can show you how we joined the back as well. And it's gonna be the very similar concept with how we joined the top of the sleeve of the sweater. Okay, but for now, just do your double crochets all the way up here. So you will go and do your last double crochets here, come back. I will show you how to finish it off on that final stitch, and then how we can join the 2 together. Okay, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I just did my 3 clusters of double crochet right here. So I have these chain 2 that we started that row of the green with, that we will need to go into that gap as well to complete the other remaining 3 clusters of double crochet, and this completes this row like that. Okay, so if we put this down like this, okay, this is how it looks like. This is your top here, and then it goes down the middle of the back like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna nod this area here where I change my color from green to white to make sure I don't lose that stitch there. Okay, and so now we're gonna start to join the 2 parts together, so our left side to the right side. And the way to do that is I will first place them next to each other like this. Okay, so as you can see, this is gonna be the middle here is gonna be the white part. Okay, but to do that, I am going to pretty much flip these on top of the other one like this. And then I am going to bring everything up like this, because this is what I need to join right here. So I'm going to do that and do that. And I hope you can see this properly here. So I have only one row of the white here, and I have 2 on the other side, which makes it 3, but we need to make it 4. So I'm gonna be working these down here by doing the second row on this side, just like we did the top of the sleeve. Okay, so I'm gonna prepare my yarn here, and then I'm gonna show you how to do that. And then we have a lot more to do with this, so it's going to be a long video, but often these type of videos are long because there's all the steps need to be explained. It's not as easy as showing one part and then saying finish the project by repeating something. Okay, so I have this section here that I've completed my 3 double crochets. So I am just going to go on to the other side here, and I'm going to go around just like we've been doing, and I'm gonna bring the yarn through and slip stitch to connect this side like this. And then I'm going to go right into this section here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my 3 double crochets into this area here. So 2 and 3 like that. Okay, so like this. And then I am going to go ahead and put that right here, bring the yarn through like that, and then move on to this gap here and complete 3 double crochets like this. So 2 and 3. And then go to the other side, put my hook there, bring it through, slip stitch. And then go ahead and complete 3 double crochets in the middle of the next gap like that. Okay, so as you can see, this is how we're completing the back here, very similar to how we did the top. So you're gonna do these all the way to the bottom, here. And when you have completed that, come back, or when you've completed this final, when you do your 3 double crochets right here, come back to the video. I will show you how to finish it completely. And then, of course, we will move on to the next part of our project together. Okay, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have done my joining here. So as you can see, I did my final cluster of double crochets right here. And so on the other side here, I do have this gap that I could go into to do a slip stitch, but I'm actually just gonna go on top here so that I have these nice and neat and kind of finished properly. I'm gonna go into that stitch in the middle, and I'm gonna do a slip stitch just going through like that. And then so that way it joins it like this. And then because I would like to connect it to this side as well, I am going to go ahead and do a double crochet on top of the chain 2 right here like that. Okay, so this is how this end is going to look like. Okay, so now I am going to finish this here. So I'm gonna bring my scissors again, cut it somewhere there, and then I'm going to slip stitch and pull through to lock that in like that. Okay, and just like we did with the back, I am going to just kind of stretch it here like this a little bit to make sure I loosen up the joining of it in the middle here like that. Okay, so now if I put my work down like this, this is the back part of my cardigan. Okay, and if I go like this, this is the front part of the cardigan like this. Okay, so as you can see, this is what I have here, and now we have some more things to do with it here. So the first thing like that I will try to see is, I don't know if I want this to be very crop toppy or if I want this to have a little bit of length in the bottom. If I do want it to have a little bit of length in the bottom, I could technically do 2 more rows in the green here and then 2 more rows in the white, so that the next part of it that I do is the red. Okay, so it's gonna kind of increase it a little bit here like this. And I think I will do that so that it's not too crop toppy, and also because I really would like to make sure I keep the pattern the same here. Because if I stop like this, then I'm just stopping with the green, which is not really matching with the way I want the pattern to come out. So the first thing that I will do is I will weave in all of these ends right here. And then I am going to connect the green somewhere in the corner here and work my green around like 2 more times to make it 4, and then do 4 more rows of the white. So I'm gonna show you that, but first I will go ahead and weave in the bottom here, the bottom stitches, the strings that are hanging here, and then I'll come back to the video to show you how to start the increase in the bottom here for the green and then eventually the white. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed just kind of cutting off the strings that were hanging in the bottom here. So I've removed all of those so that it's easy for me to work my rows. And I've actually changed my mind a little bit. I'm not going to do the 4 rows in the green and then the 4 rows in the white in the bottom. I think it's gonna make it a little bit too long because I also have a border to do. I would like to do something like this at the end of it. Again, something like this or different, but I would like to finish the whole project here in red because I want it to be consistent with everything else. So then with that said, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna do, so I have the 2 rows in the green here. I'm gonna do 2 more rows in the white because it goes green, white, red, and then that way when I do my borders in red, it's going to be consistent with it. Okay, so what I will do here then is I will just attach my yarn, and then I'm gonna do a row of the white, 2 rows of the white. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm gonna pivot my work like this so I can start in this corner here, and this is gonna be going around the front and all the way to the back as well. So it's actually going to be covering the bottom and both sides of the front part of the sweater as well as the top here. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. And by the way, this is optional. If you don't want to do all of this extra stuff, you don't have to. You could just leave your sweater the way it is here, and then you can just skip over to the next part of the project. But for me, I'm gonna do these 2 rows in the white here. So I'm gonna start by doing a slip knot, just like that. And then I am going to connect my yarn right in the bottom here, like that, bring it through, and then chain 2, and then I'm gonna do 2 more double crochets in that spot to make it the cluster of 3 for now. And then I'm gonna hop right over to the other side here and complete 3 double crochets like that, and then 3 more here, and I'm just gonna do these all the way to the top. And by top I mean I'm going to be working it all the way here. So work these clusters until you get to here. When you get to here, come back. I will show you how to work around the neckline here, and then I will have you complete on the other side as well. Okay, so for now, let's meet back when you have done your final cluster of 3 double crochets here before you cross over to the neckline. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed this side of the sweater here. Now I am up here, so I've flipped the work so that the back of the neck is kind of facing me, and so that way I can show you easily how to go over the neckline here. So as you can see, this is the cluster of the 3 double crochets here. So I am going to go ahead and do 1 here. I'm going to do 1 here and 1 here. So I'm just going to go on top of this here and do 3 double crochets like that. Then I'm going to go in the middle here. So this is the middle of the shoulder. I'm going to go there and do 3 double crochets. And then in this chain 2 here, or the double crochet that separates the middle here, I'm gonna go in there and do 3 double crochets like that. Okay, and then I am going to go over to this side here, right here, and I'm gonna do 3 double crochets. Okay, and then this is again the center of the neckline, so I'm going to go right here in this area here, which is the middle part of this, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets like that. And then I am going to go into this area here and do 3 double crochets. So it creates a little bit of an expansion here in the neckline area, but it's okay because it will come in handy when we do our hoodie. It will make it so that we have enough space in the middle to be able to do our hoodie behind the neckline. Okay, so we do that, and then okay, and then right here, this gap here, we're gonna do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So as you can see, this middle part makes it so that there's a whole bunch of clusters of them together, but don't worry about it, it's okay. And then I jump over to this side here, which is the chain 2 in the green, and I'm gonna do 3 double crochets there. And then I move over to the center here, and I'm gonna do 3 double crochets, 2, 3, and then we just pivot it a little bit like this. And then again in the middle here, just like we did on this side, like here, we did that here. We're gonna do the same thing here, where in the middle here, we're gonna do 3 double crochets, 3, and then we're gonna hop on to the middle on this side here, right here. There's 3 double crochets here and 3 double crochets on this side, and on there we're gonna do 3 double crochets. Okay, so it kind of mimics this side here where we have these here. We do the same on here, and then we just move over to this area here and do 3 double crochets, and then to the next gap, go ahead and do 3 double crochets, and then we just repeat these all the way down. Okay, so this is how the top of the neck here would look like. Okay, so you're gonna do this all the way until you get to the center here, the other side here. So you do your final 3 of this line here. You go in the middle, you do a corner, you do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets in that chain 1 gap, and then you move over and do your 3 double crochets, and you do that all the way until you come all the way past here in the middle, the white part. You do the 3 double crochets here, 3 double crochets here, 3 double crochets here, 3 double crochets here, and you just cross over to the other side, and you should be able to come all the way to where we just started here, where you will go into that same stitch and do 3 double crochets, chain 1, slip stitch, and then start the next row, and then do the same thing when you start the next row. And then when you finish the 2 rows, come back to the video, and I will then go ahead and get started by doing the hoodie with you guys. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the 2 rows around like this. So as you can see, I did it in the bottom as well of the sweater, and then around the front of it like this, including the neckline. Okay, so that is done, and as you can see here, I stopped, did my slip stitch, my chain 1 slip stitch here, or like yeah, slip stitch. And so I'm just gonna cut the yarn so I can actually just finish this here. So I'm gonna cut it somewhere here like that, and then I'm gonna do a chain 1 and pull and lock that in here. And so we're going to start working on the hoodie. And by the way, for those of you who don't care for a hoodie, you can either stop here with your project and start doing the bordering, which would be the same as this here. And the way you would do that is you would just do a row of double crochet around the whole bottom and the whole front, and then start your front post, back post, double crochets, the same thing as we did here, except here we don't do the first 2 rows of the single crochet, which is where we decreased. Because we don't decrease here, you would just go directly after here doing a row of double crochet and then starting your front post, back post, double crochets, okay? But since we're doing a hoodie on this, we're gonna do that first. I will do eventually a border as well, but for now we need to incorporate the hoodie first, okay? Okay, so with that said, so my next color to do here would be the red. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just place my work like this. So I have already determined where I want my hoodie to start in front of the sweater here. And what I did was I just put it on, and then I kind of measured where I would like my hoodie to start from in terms of the low side here. Okay, so what I did was I counted these clusters of double crochets, and it's the one right after the corner. And then I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna start mine somewhere here. So what I will do right now is I will just put a stitch marker there, and then on the other side I will count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I will put my stitch marker here as well on the opposite side. Okay, so that way, let me just make sure it is actually correct here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So no, it's actually more this one here. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna go around and finish here, and then we're gonna be working like this to put our hoodie on, to be able to join our hoodie on. So with that said, I'm gonna bring in my red color, which is what I'm gonna do. And in this case too, you can determine how many rows of each color to do. I'm gonna go and just do I'm not sure yet. I may do 2 rows of each color just to kind of go along with this here. But I may also just go back to doing 4 rows of each color. So I will see how it looks after I do 2 rows, and then we go on from there. So I'm gonna do a slip stitch here. Okay, like that. I'm gonna remove this stitch marker on my side, on this side. I'm gonna put my hook there. I'm gonna bring this through here. Okay, and then what I will do here is I will do a chain of 2, which counts as a double crochet. And then what I will do is I will just go to the next block here, and I'm gonna do my 3 clusters of double crochets there. So 2 and 3, and then I'm gonna move on to the next gap here and do my cluster of 3 double crochets like that. And then I'm gonna go on to the next, and I'm just gonna do this all around until I get to the other side of where the stitch marker is. So as you can see, you just do this, and you have all of these gaps here to go over all around. Do your final cluster here just before where the stitch marker is, and then I'll come and show you how to finish it off where the stitch marker is and how to start the next row. Okay, so just work your clusters in each space all the way until you go to the gap before the stitch marker, and then I'll meet you there. Okay, my lovelies, so I have reached the cluster just right before the stitch marker here. So I will go ahead and remove the stitch marker. I'm gonna put that away, and then in this area here, I'm just gonna do 1 double crochet like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn my work. So as you can see here, this is pretty much how the hoodie part is starting, like this. Well, we're just gonna keep going around like this. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my work so I can work on this side like this, and I'm gonna do a chain 2 and then turn, and this chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So I'm gonna go right into this area here and do 2 more double crochets. So 1 and 2, that makes it 3, and then I'm gonna move on to the next space here and do 3 double crochets. Okay, 2 and 3, and then move on to the next gap. And again, we just do this all the way until we get back to the other side, and then we will go ahead and start the next row. So you will go to this side here where you will work your clusters all the way to here, and in this final gap here as well, you're gonna go in here and do your 3 double crochets here, and then come back to the video. I will show you how to start the third row, and then I will pretty much explain how we continue this until we have the size that we want for the hoodie. Okay, so I will see you guys when you get to this end here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the second row for the hoodie here, and as you can see, that's pretty much how it looks. I have done my my cluster of double crochets here, so I'm going to start the third row, and at this point I have decided I'm going to do 4 rows of each of the colors. Okay, so I'm gonna do 4 rows in this white, in the red. I'm gonna go and do 4 rows in the green and the white, and then until I have the size that I need for my hoodie. So I'm gonna do a chain of 2 to start the third row, and I'm gonna flip like this, and then I'm gonna go right into the next gap here to do my clusters of 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm gonna move on to the next gap here and do 3 double crochets, just like that. And again, you just repeat this all the way around until you come back to this side here where I will show you what to do. So you're gonna do your 3 double crochets here, and then come back to the video, and then I'll go ahead and show you how to start the 4th row, and then we'll finish the 4th row together, and I will show you how to change the color and how to start the green, and then I will pretty much explain how you go all the way to the size that you need for your hoodie. Okay, but for now, let's meet again when you get to the other side, when you've done your 3 double crochets here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my 3rd row here of the hoodie, and as you can see, I just did my cluster of 3 double crochets here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a double crochet on top of the chain 2 that we started here. So I'm just gonna go into the top of that here and complete a double crochet like that. Okay, so as you can see with this part of the project, the first row just we started with, or we ended or started with a double crochet, so it's a single double crochet in this gap. In the second one we have a cluster, and in the third we have a double crochet, and then in the next set we're gonna have a cluster, and then it's gonna continue to pattern itself like that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with row 4. So we're gonna do a chain of 2 and turn, and then we're going to go straight into this same stitch here, and we're gonna go ahead and do 2 more double crochets in there. So 1 and 2, making it 3 with the chain 2. So again, as you can see, we had just a double crochet here, a cluster, a double crochet, now a cluster, and then we're gonna move on to the next gap and do 3 double crochets. And then we again repeat this all the way to the other end, and we are going to finish it off on this side by doing 3 double crochets in this gap here. And then I'm gonna ask you guys to come back, and then I will change the color. We're gonna go to the green, and then we'll get started with that row, and then I will have you guys build up your hoodie at that point. Okay, so for now, let's meet back over here after you do your 3 clusters of double crochet right here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have done my 4th row here in the red of the hoodie, and as you can see, this is where I am at. So I'm gonna obviously cut these off here so we can finish this color for now, and then we're gonna bring in the green because we need to change it to the green. So I have my green yarn here ready to go, and then I'm gonna show you how to get started with changing the color, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about how you have to build up the size of the hoodie that you need. So obviously here I'm gonna just undo these 2 last loops that I did for the double crochet so I can change the color. I'm gonna bring in the color, so just like this, and change it, and then I'm gonna do a chain of 2, and I'm gonna just pull these two so that they're a little bit tight here, and I'm gonna knot these here so I don't have it unraveling on me. I'm gonna turn, and then I'm gonna skip right to this gap here to do my 3 double crochets. So just going right into that. Let me just, there you go. We're gonna go right into that and do 3 double crochets. Okay, like that, and then move on to the next gap and do my next 3 double crochets. And by now you guys kind of get the idea of what we are doing here. So you're just continuing by repeating this pattern all around. So we're going to do 4 rows of this green, where we will go, when you get to this side, you will do your final cluster of double crochet here, and then a double crochet on top of the chain 2, and then chain 2, and then just repeat what we did for these last 4 rows. I'm gonna do 4 rows in the green as well, and then switch to the red, to the white, and then back to the red. I'm gonna alternate like that until I have the length that I want. So the way I usually measure how long or how much of my hoodie to do is that I take my tape measure and I place it on one side of my neck. Okay, so I use inches, so I would place this right in on the base of my neck, and then I will pull it up over my head like this, and then I will go up to the crown, or like the top of my head. And that's how I usually measure, and it measures for me usually between 12 and 13, let's say. And that is if I hold it tight over my head like this. And if you want to have a little bit of a wiggle room or a little bit of a play room, or just to make your hoodie a little bit larger, then you can increase by 2 inches, 3 inches, however many inches that you want. Okay, but first of all, get your measurement to the top of your head, and then that's how you're gonna measure here. So this will be the base of our neck here, and then you're gonna measure from where the base of the neck is all the way to however many rows it takes you to reach your inches. So for me, I'm gonna do up to, let's say, 12 or 13 inches like this. So it's gonna be this long that I'm gonna complete, like this long. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna first of all just try it on and see if I can just fit my hoodie on top of my head like this very easily. And if it is, then I will be done, and I'll come back and show you guys how to join the top, and then how we're gonna do the border for the rest of it here, including the hoodie. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead and work on the hoodie part until we get the size that we want. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and worked on the hoodie part of the sweater here. So as you can see, this is what I have built up, and I have done, it's about 11.5 inches here, but we're going to do a border, so that's going to add more rows to it. It's going to add more size to it, but I pretty much did 8, 16, 20, 24, 26. I did 26 rows altogether. And as you can see here for the red, I left it at 2 rows. And the reason for that is because we're going to actually be joining these like this. So after joining these up here, I have my 4 rows together here of the red. This is something that I just prefer to do. You don't have to do it just like I did, just because I'm very specific with the order of the way I do the number of rows per color here. You don't have to do the same. So for me, I decided to stop at 2 rows in the red, and I'm gonna join these here. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is cut these off, but I'm gonna leave enough of a length to be able to join this section up here. So I'm gonna cut my yarn, let's say somewhere here. That should be enough to join the top, somewhere here like that. And then I'm going to do a slip knot here and then pull. Voila. And as you can see, I also ended it with the row that has the cluster of 3 double crochets on each end, and that's just something that would make it easy to join, because if you left at the row that has the double crochet and double crochet on the end, it's going to be a little bit tricky to join it. Okay, so now it's time to join. So as you can see, again, this is the inside of my sweater here, and this is the outside, okay, here. So what I will do is I will just bring this in like this, and then I'm gonna join the top here. And so I have my yarn here, like that. And then I'm gonna bring in my darning needle. And you can also join these using a slip stitch, which I don't often do, but if you prefer to join it like that, absolutely go ahead and do it like that. But I often use my darning needle to join. So what I do is I just hold it like this, and I go into the first stitch right here, and then the first stitch on the opposite side, and I just pull my string through, and then I go into that one more time, and I loop the yarn around, and I go into it just like that. So that just makes it so that it's fully secure here. And then I am going to go ahead and grab the 2 loops for the next stitches, and I go through and I pull, and make sure you're not pulling it too tight because you don't want it to crunch up too much. And then I just go like this. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not picking out just one loop or the back or the front loop only. I'm going through both loops to be able to complete the sewing up here. Okay, so I just go and I go and I go into the next. So I do this all the way to the end here. Okay, and when I get to the end here, I will come back to the video so I can show you what to do next. And then the only thing that we're gonna do is do the border. That's gonna go around the front section, over the hoodie section, and then all the way around the bottom section. So I will obviously show you how to do that. But for now, just join your work here until you get to the end here. What I will do for this final section is I will fold it like this so that my hood is not too sharp on top here. But I will go ahead and do until here and then come back to the video, and I will show you how to finish off the last end here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have just sewed the top of the hoodie here. So again, when you get to there, you can just kind of play with it a little bit like this. As you can see, this is going to be how the top looks like. Okay, now I just want to make sure that this doesn't stay too sharp on top here. So I will just fold the last cluster of 3 double crochets in. So what I will do here, instead of just sewing it straight here and then it stays sharp like this, I will actually just tuck the end of this section in like this. Okay, so I'll kind of tuck it in. It's not gonna make too much of a difference here, but it will just make it so that it's not too hard of a sharp end there. So, and then what I will do is I will just join the top of it like this. So I tuck the sharp end in like this. And by the way, you don't have to do all of this. I'm just trying something new so that I don't have the top looking too sharp. So you don't have to absolutely do the same thing that I'm doing here. Okay, so just something more like this, so it kind of rounds up like this instead of going sharp. And then I will just do one more right here like that. I'll go through, and then I will do one more and then loop my yarn around to kind of do like a slip stitch to lock it in like that. And then I will just finish it up like this, so that way it doesn't leave a very sharp end here. So I don't know if that makes a big difference, but that's what I'm thinking it does. But you don't have to follow exactly like that. So as you can see, this is your hoodie here then. Okay, so this is where your head will go here. Now what I will do is I will just cut off all of these knobs where not knobs but strings where I change the colors. And what I do is I do a few knots on it so that it can be secure, and then I will chop them all off. And that way when I do my border, it's gonna cover all the loops or the knobs that I have here from cutting off the yarn, and it's gonna cover any imperfections. Also with this particular project, it's very hard to weave in ends because it's a very gappy type of project, so it doesn't actually weave in very well. So I just go ahead and chop off all the excess yarn here. Okay, just like that. Finished. Put those away, and then that way you have a clean section to start your work with. I can weave these ones here off later, or yeah, I can weave them off later. Okay, so now you have your hoodie, you have your sweater pretty much completed here. So again, this is the section where you can just stop and don't have to do anything. But what I will do is I will connect my yarn, a red yarn right here, because I'm gonna do the same border like this for the front and the hoodie here, okay? So I have this here, but I don't have to worry about that. I can leave it and weave it in later. But I'm gonna go ahead and just prepare my yarn here, and then I'll show you how to join this. And the first thing we're gonna do is just do a row of double crochets, and then we can do our front post, back post double crochets after. So I do my slip knot just like always, like that. And then I'll go into this corner here, put my yarn through, my hook through, bring the yarn over, and then do my chain 2. And keep in mind this chain 2 counts as a double crochet. And then in that same space, I'm gonna do 2 more double crochets to make it 3, just like that. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip over to this one here, the next stitch to it. I'm gonna do a double crochet, and then I'm gonna go to the next and do a double crochet, and then to the next stitch do a double crochet. And keep in mind, if you, as you can see here, I'm actually going into the actual stitches to do my double crochets. Okay, so I just go ahead and do my double crochet, and then in the next stitch and in the next stitch, and I do double crochets around the whole area here. So as you can see, I started on the bottom corner here. I'm gonna work my double crochets all around. Maybe when you come to here, come back to the video so I can show you how to transition into the hoodie section, and then I will show you how to and then you will do the same. So this transitioning here is pretty much the same as here. And then you're going to do your double crochets all around. When you come to here, you just do the same. You go into the corner and do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets to create your corner, and then go into the next, and then just complete that all around until you come back here. But for now, meet me when you get to the section where the hoodie starts here, so I can show you how to transition into that. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed this first side here for just doing the double crochets. So as you can see, I reached the corner here where we started the hoodie. So this is where we started our hoodie here. And so I just wanted to show you how to transition into this section that doesn't actually have regular stitches, just so you know kind of how to work into that. Okay, so as you can see, my last double crochet is here. There's this gap here. I'm gonna go into it to do a double crochet, because if I hop over to this side here, there's this huge gap here. So just to counter or to fix that, I'm gonna go into this gap here and do a double crochet like that. And then I'm gonna move over to this big gap here. In this first big gap here, I'm gonna go in and do 2 double crochets, just because the gap is too big there. So like that. And then in this section here, so there's the cluster of 3 double crochets here. I'm gonna just separate the 2 from the 1, and between the 2 and the 1, I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that gap here, like this. Okay, so like that. And then from here on, I'm gonna do 1 double crochet in the gap here, and then I'm gonna again separate this double crochet from the other 2 and do 2 double crochets in that section like this. Okay, and then I'm going to go into this gap here and do 1 double crochet, and then in separating the 2 double crochets from the 1, and I will do 2 double crochets there like that. And then in this gap I do 1 double crochet, and then in this section here I do 2. So as you can see, we're just kind of working our way around. The point is to keep your gapping of your double crochets consistent, so that they're not too gappy and they're not too close together. And also you don't want to increase so much that you create so many extra stitches, because you don't want to do that. It's going to look very, very loose, and it's going to just not look right. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do this all around. Okay, so the only place that you do 2 double crochets in the gap like this is the beginning where we did it, and then it's gonna be here as well. So right here, you're going to do 2 double crochets. So you're gonna do 2 double crochets in this gap here, and then in the gap, big gap here, 2 double crochets. And then you're gonna hop right over to the first double crochet in the stitch, in the stitch, in the stitch, and then you just continue that all the way back down to this corner. In this corner here, you're going to do your double crochet here, double crochet here, double crochet here, and then hop right onto the corner in the middle. Do your 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets in that same area. And then in this stitch, do your double crochet, do your double crochet, and then continue to do the same thing all the way until you come back to where we started here. So you're going to end up coming all around. So when you do your final double crochet here, come back to the video and I will show you how to connect, join, and then how to start the next row. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovely, so I just came back because I have the top here where we joined our hoodie that I did not explain how to work into that area. So as you can see, this is the double crochets where I separated the 2 from the 1, and I did my 2 double crochets here. So we're actually gonna do one right on top of the section where we joined the work, like that. And then we're gonna hop right over to the other cluster of double crochets and do our 2 double crochets there. So I just wanted to quickly come back and show you guys how to do that, because if you skip over from here to the other side, there's this whole gap here that would be left kind of open. So that's why I wanted to come back and show you guys that. Okay, so go ahead and just continue doing the rest of it, and I will see you guys when you have completed this whole circle of double crochets. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my double crochets all around. So the project at this point is extremely wide. To be able to show you everything, it's gonna be a little bit difficult here, but I've pretty much worked the red. As you can see, the lining of the red here, we started here and we went around, we went across the hoodie like this, and then I went all the way to the other corner and then across the bottom. So this is whole the bottom here. Okay, all right, so now we are at the beginning of where we started the double crochets, and as you can see, I just did my last double crochet there. And so now I'm gonna go into the center to create my corner. So now I'm just gonna hop right into the center and do 3 double crochets. So 2, 3, and then I'll chain 1, and then I will pretty much slip stitch on top of the chain 2 that we started this row with. So as you can see, then my corner just stays like that, the same as this corner here. Okay, so now we're going to do something a little bit different, and what I will do is I'm gonna do the same stitch as this, which is the front post, back post double crochets, and I'm gonna do a few rows of those around, just to make sure I am kind of keeping my edging consistent. I'm keeping the sleeves are consistent with the front and bottom part of the cardigan. All right, so to start that, I'm going to go and do a chain of 2, which counts as a double crochet. And in that same corner, I'm going to do 2 more double crochets to make it 3, because we're going to keep our corners the same here. Okay, so that's my 3 double crochets. And then I am going to skip this double crochet here, this double crochet, and in the third one that is on the left, I'm going to go in and do a front post double crochet on that. Okay, actually we're gonna go into the second one, into this one here. Okay, so we're skipping the first one here, and in the second double crochet from the cluster, I'm gonna go in and do a front post double crochet. And then in the next one, I'm gonna go in and do a back post double crochet like that. And then in the next one, a front post double crochet. And then in the next, a back post double crochet. And then in the next, a front post double crochet. And then I just continue with this all around, okay, until I get back to this area here. But I will come back to show you how to do the other corner, because as you can see, the whole project here now has just 2 corners, which is the bottom corners here. Okay, so this is one side of the bottom and this is the other side of the bottom. So work your front post, back post double crochets all around until you get back to this corner here. Come back, I will show you how to work into this corner. And then we will finish the bottom here with the same thing that we have done around. And then I will show you how to start a second row of the front post back post double crochets, and then I will have you guys complete however many rows that you need for this part. Okay, but for now, let's meet back when you get to this corner so I can show you how to work into this corner here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and worked the front post back post double crochet all around the top. So we started here and then I went around the top of the hoodie like that. And now I am in the corner where I'm gonna show you how to do the corner here, and then I will have you guys work it until you get to this end here, and then we will start the next row together, and then you will work the rest of it. Okay, so as you can see, this double crochet here did a back post double crochet. So for this next stitch here, I'm going to do a front post double crochet, and then in this stitch right here, I'm going to do a back post double crochet, and then excuse me, and then I hop right into the middle right here. So I don't do anything with this last stitch here. I go right into the middle and I do my my 3 double crochets. Okay, like that, chain 1, and then 3 more double crochets into the middle to keep my corner. Okay, so my corner is going to stay the same here like that. Okay, and then I move on to this side here, and what I often do is, if the last stitch here I did was a back post double crochet, then I just go straight and do a back post double crochet, not this stitch here. So this stitch and this stitch on each of the sides, I don't work in them. But for this second one, I go in and I will do a front back post double crochet, and this is just to make it so that it's equal with this side here like this. And then of course in the next I do a front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet in this one, then a front post double crochet. Okay, and then I do this all the way. This is now working in the bottom part of the sweater, so I'm going to do these all along here, all the way here until I get back to here. So when you have completed your last post in this stitch here, it could either be the front or back post. When you finish that, come back. I will help you or show you how to go into the middle and continue to create the corner, and how to start the next row, and then you can finish it off on your own there. Okay, but for now, meet me when you get back to this section here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked the bottom part of the sweater here as well. So as you can see, that is the first row of the front post back post double crochet, and of course there's also the first row of just double crochets to be able to set up our the second row here. So as you can see, I have reached the corner where we started. So I have done my front post double crochet on that stitch, and so on the next one here, I'm going to go ahead and do a back post double crochet, and then in the next one here, I'm going to do a front post double crochet. Okay, and then as you can see, it matches with our first stitch here where we started by doing a front post double crochet. That's excellent. So then I'm just going to go into the center and do my 3 double crochets to create the corner. Because we already have 3, we just add 3 more, and then chain 1 and slip stitch on top of the chain 2. Okay, so this completes this row like that. So the corner stays the same. Okay, and then to start the next row, which is our second row of the front post back post double crochets, but third row of the red, I'm going to start by doing chain 2, and then in that same center we're going to do 2 more double crochets, so your chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So now we have 3, which is half of our corner here. We're going to finish it when we come back around, and then I'm going to move my work like this, and in this stitch here, so I'm going to skip this and this. So in this second row, we're skipping 1, 2, and then in the next one right here, I'm going to go ahead and do a back post double crochet. And the reason I'm doing a back post double crochet is because the next one is the back post from the previous rows, which is going to be a front post this time. Okay, so I'm going to go like this, and then in that third stitch from the previous row, I'm going to do a back post double crochet, and then now I can do my front post double crochet on here, and then a back post double crochet in the next one, and then a front post. So here you just follow the pattern. As you can see, anything that is kind of away from me, I do a back post double crochet, and anything that protrudes towards me, I do a front post double crochet, and then I just follow the pattern like this. And I do these all the way around, including on the hoodie side here, the front of the hoodie. And then I'm gonna do the corner just like what we did here. So you're gonna work your stitches, and you're going to go into just the first double crochet of the corner to do whatever post. So for example, in this case here, if I do a front post here, then in that stitch I'm going to do a back post, and then jump right to the middle to do your corner. And then on this side you're going to skip these 2 stitches, and in the next one here do a back post double crochet, because the next one becomes a front post, and then continue back post, front post, back post, front post, and then do that all around again until you come back to here. When you get to here, you're going to do your, like for example, this is going to be where you do a front post double crochet, but then you're going to do a back post double crochet right here, and then skip these 2, go right to the middle to do your 3 double crochets, and then slip stitch on top of this, and then chain 2 and start the next row. And then you repeat the exact same thing around again. And you can do that however many times you want. So for me, I will probably do 1 more row, like which is this row that I started here, and I will see how it looks. If not, I will add another row. So it's going to be absolutely up to you how many rows you want to do here, but you want to make it look so that you want to do it so that it looks good and it's not too gappy in the middle. So if I put my sweater on the ground like this, where is this coming? Here you go. Let me just place it here. So if I place my work like this on a flat table, the point here is to make sure when you work your stitches that you don't do too many, that this closes completely here. So as you can see on mine, I'm quite close to the middle, so I have just that much gap left in the middle. So when I do that 1 row, that's gonna come to probably bring it up to here, and then that's probably why I say I will stop there. If not, I will do 1 more row, and then I will stop there. And after that, I come back to the video and I will show you guys how it looks like, and then we will also end the video there, because it will pretty much be, the work will be done. What I will do while I am offline as well is I will weave in all of my my hanging string. So anything that I have left kind of hanging, I'm gonna weave all of those in. There's quite a few in the inside, I think, or maybe I got rid of them, but anyways, I'm gonna do all of that. And so when I come back, I'm gonna come back to a completely clean finished work. Okay, all right, so see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and finished the 3rd row, or the 2nd row of the front post back post double crochets, but 3rd row for the red. And as you can see, I just came all the way here. I did my chain 1 and then I slip stitched, and I have decided this is where I'm gonna end my borders for the dress, for the sweater. And of course I tried it on, and that's why I decided it's gonna be enough. So that would be what you do, is you just try it on as you go. As you add a row, you try it on, and when it looks the way you want it to look, then you can stop there. So this is what I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and just disconnect the yarn here because it's finished. So I'm gonna cut something like that, put that away, and then I'm gonna do a chain of 1 and lock that in. And then I'm gonna weave in this end here. So the way I weave in ends when it comes to doing this kind of big stitch like this, where it's gonna be a little bit hard to kind of weave in your yarn, I just knot it. But for example, this one that I don't have another string to knot it with, I just split the yarn here, and then the side that I want it to kind of be knotted in, I just bring these loops onto the other side like this, and then I do a knot like that, and I do a few knots just to make sure it's fully secure. That way I don't have to make sure it doesn't undo itself, and then it undoes the actual project. So then I just cut it like that. Okay, so then that is all I have here. I just stuck it in, and that is it. And this is the outside of my sweater here, and the knot, the tiny piece of knot, is on the other side here. Okay, so I have obviously gone ahead and weaved in all of my ends, so I don't have anything anymore. That was the last one where we finished the project. And as you can see here, this is pretty much the end. This is how my hoodie section looks like. So this is where my head will go, my face right here, the top, and then the back of the hoodie. And yeah, so this is pretty much it here. So I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you enjoyed doing this one with me. I tried to explain it as much as possible for those of you who are also beginners to be able to follow along. But yeah, a nice Christmas project that you can also do with different colors for it to be a different theme, for a different theme. But for the sake of this video, obviously we're doing it for Christmas. Okay, well, thank you so much again for watching the video to the end. I hope you guys had fun, and I hope you guys will subscribe, comment, like, share, all of the good stuff to help me out with my algorithms. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.